Hello ETL enthusiasts. I heartily welcome to this presentation. Today let's discuss second part of session properties, settings of the sessions. First part is already uploaded. Let us see the mappings tab today. When you open mappings tab, you will see below views. Okay. Start page, connections, memory properties, files, directories and commands, sources, targets and transformations. Start page, push down optimization, connections, memory properties, files, directories, commands, sources, targets, and transformations of that particular mapping. Let us see individually what are these. Start page helps you to view the nodes of the environment, the repository settings. The node is a computational unit in the repository settings that you will be seeing here. How many nodes are there for a particular environment? You are not changing anything here because these nodes have been set by the administrators, and this is just for view purposes. Okay. The second one is push down optimization. So push down optimization have the settings and configuration settings here. In this viewer you can see all those settings which you did for push down optimization. For information, push down optimization, it's a separate license. So most of the companies don't generally use a push down optimization because you're pushing logic in sources or targets or both sides, and database logs will be maintained in database, not Informatica. So if anything fails, then you have to investigate in the database level, not the Informatica level. So which is like a hectic situation here. So that's why we don't bother about this one, because instead we use partitioning and other process improvement techniques. Next one is connections. What are the relational connections you use for sources, targets, and transformations that can be viewed all at a time? And there are memory properties you set for these sessions. The all memory properties that you set for this session, you can view it all at once in these settings. You can view them. Files, directories, and commands. If you have source files and target files, and there are some commands you use to pre-session commands, post-session commands, and all those commands you can view all at a time in this view page. But usually when you develop a new session and new mappings, you don't generally go to this view. You directly go individual sources and targets and particularly set it up each and everything. Okay, this is just to view most of the properties at a time, so that it will be easy for you when you revisit the session. Now let's see sources settings. Okay, so sources may be two different types. One is relational table and second is flat file. So we'll see individual properties. Okay, so this one is relational table. Okay, so these properties are most important. SQL query, source filter, owner name, source table name, user defined join, tracing level, select distinct, pre-SQL, post-SQLs. Okay, these are very important. So SQL query is whenever you create a mapping, integration service creates SQL query depending on your column selection from the sources to source qualifier. Okay, so in SQL query it will be null, so because it's already created something, and that will be a default one that can be used. If you want to modify the SQL query and if you want to override the query to have the multiple parameters or variables you want to use, mapping parameters, mapping variables, or you want to have a condition in it, or you want to have multiple tables to be joined in there, then SQL query have a override option to do it. Okay. Say for example, we have a customer table we are extracting data from. So select column 1, column 2, column 3 from customer table as well as another customer table, and you have a join there. So you can override that. Otherwise, default query is something like this, depending on the columns that you selected from sources into the source qualifier. Next one is source filter. So SQL query is like this, and you wanted to select only the customers from Chicago city, then you can have a condition here in source filter as city is equal to Chicago. Okay, so this will be added in the SQL query while executing this session, and select column 1, column 2, column 3 from customer where city is equal to Chicago. Okay, that's where you use this one. Okay, owner name is nothing but a database schema name. Most of the databases uses this different schema names because different environments, different databases, different schemas will be there. Stage will be different schema, dimensions and facts will be different schema, so actual sources are different schema. So that's why the schema is name is owner name is important. So some sample is that ST360. Okay, another one is source table name. If you want to parameterize source table name, you can use that. Tab stage customer. If you don't give any details in the source table name, will also be fine, because in SQL query you give the select query override. If you don't give any select query override and you want to go with whatever integration service has created, that will be gone. You can use the source table name. And if you want to parameterize, say for example, initially I have created tab stage cust. After 3 months of time, client or somebody has suggested different name like T underscore stage customer. So in such case, you have to go to each and every particular session that uses that particular table and you have to rename everywhere. Instead of that, you use a parameter and a parameter file. So parameter file only you will change only once, one place you will change. It's not a code change, it's a file change. So it will automatically replicate it in everywhere. So that will be easy one to do it. Okay. Next one is user defined join. If you want to have a particular join between the tables, you can mention that. Tracing level. Tracing level is you are selecting from 4 different options we have for tracing level. Tracing level is used to create more information in the log file. Okay, normal is the default one. Ters is the minimal log details you enter. That's why ters will be the faster one. It improves the performance. Verbose data, verbose init mostly used for debugging purposes when you have when you want to debug the issue for a particular record or issue. Record level data and initialization compute level data will be entered in this log, so that will be a bigger log, so session performance may decrease. So that's why normal is the best one to use. You don't generally change this. If you want to investigate on a particular issue, then you can use verbose data and verbose init. Okay, otherwise mostly we use normal. Normal should be enough. Okay, select a distinct is an option which you think source table has duplicate values and you want to select only unique values from there, then you can use this one. Select distinct option can be checked. Important ones, pre and post SQLs. If you want to run any um, insert update queries or any audit table entries you want to do for pre-SQLs, post-SQLs are used generally for audit control. If you want to see the progress of a particular session, whether it is run properly, load completed or not, we use pre and post-SQLs. Okay. Let us see if source is a flat file. Okay, let us see the settings of the source file if it is a source file. Okay, flat file. So source file directory you will be giving. So from where, which path you want to read the file data from there. Source file name is the file name where you want to read the data from. Okay. Source file type. What is the source file type you are giving, either direct or indirect? Okay. Session file properties also need to be set for that. Let us see what are those. Source file type may be 2 different types. One direct, one indirect. Direct means you are directly reading the data from the file name that you mentioned in the above source file name. Okay. Indirect is used when you have multiple same structured data you want to load at a time. Then you use indirect method. Okay. There are session file properties also need to be set. Let us see what are those. Session file properties helps you to set delimiter, code page, double single quotes you use for in the data or can skip the header. Okay, say for example I have a customer.csv. Cust ID, cust name, customer address is the header we have, and 101, 102, 103, three customers are there. Okay, if you observe, the first one is header. Okay, if you want to skip the header because the header is not the data that you want to read, so you will skip the header. So the number of rows that you skip is 1 in this particular settings of the session file property. Second one, you observe address has a comma already. So if you see the delimiter of this file is comma, when you see address also has a comma. So if you don't have double quotes or single quote here, then it will be 4 fields in the data that integration service reads. Even the header says 3 columns, but 4 columns it will read. That's why the double quotes are important. So in session file properties, you can also have a chance to select double or single quotes. Okay. When source also sending these type of commas in CSV file format, they'll definitely give us a single quote or a double quote. But you have to mention especially in the session file properties. Let us see now target settings for relational table. Okay, the connection name is the first one. Load type. Connection name is also important for source relational table. When relational table, I think I missed that. Connection name, load type, insert, update else insert, update as insert, update as update, delete, truncate table option, reject file directory, reject file name, table name prefix, nothing but a schema name, owner name in the source file source properties, target table name, what table you are using while loading the table, and pre and post SQLs. Okay, these are very important. Okay, connection name. So what is the database connection name that you use it here? Okay, that we are mentioning here. The connection name usually the database connection name like this Oracle Ora underscore SIT underscore source src. So if you are using it for a source, then you will use that. If it is target, then you use tgt, some connection name like that. Okay, the parameter file, or you can directly give the relational connection name here. Load type. There are two types of loads. One is normal, the second is bulk. Normal is the default one. Sometimes bulk will be an default one because of the settings that we administrator might have done. Normal is the best one to do. Bulk has it improves the performance as well as it is difficult you to find out the issues and root causes because bulk usually skips the redo log. So when a session failure, it will be typical for you to find out the log details in this. So that's why normal is the best one. uh, okay, normal is the best one. There is an insert option. So by default, if a mapping doesn't have a update strategy, then every row in the mapping you are mentioning is by default insert. Okay, if it is update else insert, you mentioned this update else insert, you might have checked this one. Then what does that mean? If any record is coming from source for insert, if it's already existing, then it is update. It will try to update if it's already existing. If it's not existing, it will go for an insert. Okay, so update as insert is like when you have a mapping with the update strategy which marks every record as update, but you are inserting them. Of course, nobody will use this one. Okay, update is update. It's nothing but update. If you want to do it target updates, then update will happen. Delete, if you want to delete from the target table based on the source number of records, you can do that. So for delete and update, you need primary key, or a key at least you defined in the informatical level is important, otherwise there will be an error. Truncate table. Truncate table is very important. Truncate table say for example you are using a stage between the source and target, I mean the dimensions. So you don't want to maintain the history in the stage table. So that's why you use truncate table. That means you will truncate the table. Whereas in dimension and fact, you will never truncate them. Okay. So that's why truncate is usually used for staging related intermediate data you want to delete. Okay. Reject file directory, reject file names when a session failure happen because of some data rejected, that will be loaded into this file and this file path. Table name prefix is nothing but database schema name that may be from the database ST360 example. Target table name is the table name where you want to parameterize or you want to give a direct table name. You can give that. Pre and post SQLs are mostly used for audit control table inserts. Um, Control table inserts to see the progress of the session run, or if you want to pre-SQL, it can be used to select distinct values from there or delete distinct values. Update insert can happen on that select source table. Post SQL also you can update insert after session completes, it will update insert can be run on the post SQL command. When target is a flat file, let us see what settings need to be set importantly. Okay, target file directory, where you want to store this, the path basically, target file directory is a path. Target file name, what file name you wanted to create. Target field names, so what are the field or header you want it in the file name, the target file name. You can simply keep whatever mapping gives us the target table flat file name, that can be used as header here. Okay, session file properties that need to be set up, and append if exists. Say for example you already created a file and you want to append the data in that particular file, you can check this. Or if you don't want to append it, you want to always to um, um, delete and insert the data in that particular file, you can do that. Append if exists option will help you. Append if exists means if it is already there and you are running two sessions, one session extract the data from one source and second session extract this data from different source but the same customer data. In such case, you need append if exists. Okay, first session it will be it will not be append if exists. For second one, you want to insert the data in the previous file that has already been created by the previous session. In such case, you will use append if exists. Let us see session file properties. Session file properties are nothing but how do you want the flat file name? Flat file has to have the delimiter. Is it comma or pipe or what delimiter you want? And code page you want to set mostly the UTF-8, that is the ISO site we use mostly, the default one we don't change. Double single quotes you want to mention for address especially, we already discussed this customer.csv. Okay, let us see whether I can give a question here. Question for you is, target file when you create from Informatica, it always give you hash for the first column in the header. Say for example on the customer.csv, it will give, once the integration service completes the session, it will give a header like this: hash customer ID, comma name, comma address. So please tell me what to do to remove the hash. Don't simply say that open the file and remove it. No. What I'm saying, after completion of the session, this has to go. It should not be there. So what to do? There is an option to do it. Okay, I might have mentioned in the previous presentations. Okay, that will be an important question in interview. Let's see next slide. Let us discuss the components tab. The mapping tab is done. Let us go with the components tab. There are multiple tasks here. We can see what are those. Okay, so every task is there, like pre-session command, none, reusable or non-reusable options are there. Post session success command, post session failure command, on success email, on failure email, pre session variable assignment, post session on success variable assignment, post session on failure variable assignment. Last three mostly we don't use it, but they are used to set mapping parameters, mapping variables or worklet variables or worklet parameters that you use in this one. Say for example, from one session to another session, you want to pass the mapping parameter, mapping variables into workload variable, then you use all these ones. So we generally don't use this one. In such case, if you want to do all those things, then we will definitely use a Uniscript to do it. Okay. So the above ones are very important. On success, what you want to send? You want to send an email every session after every session successful? No, generally no. Okay. Uh, in failure email, we wanted a failure email on every session because all sessions will not fail at a time. So one by one session will fail. So one session failure, we wanted to capture that. So we wanted an email notification for that for support teams. So those things are very important. And failure command, what you want to do? Failure command, post session failure. If it is success, then what you want to do? What is the use of them? Let us see. Let us see the components tab. There are multiple commands or tasks there. Pre-session command, which can be used before a session starts. What you want it command to do. Post-session success command, post-session failure command, on success email, on failure email, pre-session variable assignment. These variable assignments mostly we don't use it. Okay. Let us see each and everything in the next slides. Okay. Pre-session command. Pre-session command. A Unix command to be executed by integration service. Okay, before session starts. Okay, in which case you use? You can generally use this one command to sort your source file before integration service picks up for extraction. A command can be used to merge multiple source files and remove headers for all other files. Only one header you want, all other files you don't want the header. You can use the command to remove duplicates and create a new file for process, right? So those all things can be done in this Unix command. Here is an example. So you have multiple CSV files, source files you want to read in the source file path, and I want only one header. So FNR is equal to 1. So first file's header only, first record only you are taking. All other NR not equal to 1, next is equal to print. Those commands helps you to remove header for all other CSV files. Okay, and then put it into input file.csv. So when session sources properties, you will give this input file.csv to read it. Okay, that's what the example we have. Let us see post session success command. That is also an Unix command that can be executed by integration service after successful completion of the session. Okay, if session fails, then this won't work. It's only for success command. Okay, a command to append date to a target file name. A command to merge multiple files and remove headers for all other files. A command to archive the file because successful. This load is successful. So you want that file to be archived, succeeded, right? You want to archive them, or you want to append a date to the file name. You can do that. All these things you can be done. Okay. Let us see post session failure command. Okay, a Unix command you want to run by the integration service if session fails. Okay, what is the use of them? So let us see the commands that you can use it for. Command to remove any intermediate files created for this process or temporary files created in this process. Command to move source files to error file directories. If there is an issue with a source file, you don't want to continue the load, you will send an email and then move it to the error file directory. Okay, and you have a command to create a trigger files for other waiting jobs. That can be done. So there is an example. Move, you are moving the source file, IRS source file.csv to error file directory using and appending the date into the file name. Okay, that's how we use this post session failure command. Let us see the next option we have. On success email command. Okay, this command integration service, this command is used to send emails. When session is succeeded, you want to communicate to the support team. Generally we don't do this one because every session, see, one workflow may have 10 sessions, right? We don't do every particular session to send an email. We'll send at end of the workflow and we'll say the process has been completed, right? So in between, if a session completes, we don't generally send. Okay, but in some workflows you want you have only one session that you want to send. Instead of using an email task, you can use this one. Let us see, post the on failure email. So when session failure, you want to communicate to support team because they have to investigate why this has failed, right? So integration service send emails when session failure. Okay, so that's what. In this email, while sending email, you can give a session file name, session log file name, and session name, workflow name, mapping name, how many records failed, how many records succeeded, and all those details you can enter by using a parameters. Okay, let us see the next slide now. Let us see some real-time cases here, and I would like to give some questions to you. Okay, I will try to explain this one in this in next presentation. Okay, so I have a source system called SIT Sriram transaction database. Okay, Sriram information system or something like that. Okay, so SIT. From SIT, daily I get a flat file called sit underscore transaction underscore today's date dot CSV file. Okay, this CSV file is coming up. So I have a phase one. So this is our target database. Okay, that is Tran 360 data warehouse. Okay, this is the data warehouse we have. Okay, let us see phase one mapping, what it does. Okay, phase one mapping loads the data into stage table. Okay, so phase one, msit stage transaction load will happen into stage, so that nothing but flat file dump into stage. Okay, the phase two we have here is different mapping. Okay, different mapping loads the data from stage to particular dimension table. In our case, it's a customer dimension table. So msit dimension transaction load, or customer load, whatever you want to mention. Okay, and I have a phase three here, which loads the data from stage and dimension into fact table. Okay, so that is the third mapping I have. Okay, this is the requirement. Okay, so I have one particular source sit is giving me a file which is a comma separated CSV. In phase one, first mapping, you load the data into stage. In second one, you load the data from stage to dimension, only subject related data, maybe customers. And in phase three, you load the data into fact by using dimension and fact, dimension and stage tables. Okay. Additional requirement is that if session fail in phase one, move it to error file directory. Okay, with a date folder created. If session success in phase one, then move it to archive directory because it succeeded. If session failure, send email to support team with the session log name, workflow name, session mapping, and all the details, source and target record counts. For stage, additional requirement is to no need to maintain the history. So now let me know what are the settings you do for the mappings that you have created, three mappings, and create three sessions, and let me know what all are the session properties that you set for this particular case. Okay, I will discuss all these real-time scenarios in the next presentation. Okay, thanks folks, have a great day ahead. Thank you for watching this video.